Have you ever wanted to create an animated whiteboard video? You know, one of those where it looks like a hand is actually drawing all of the text and images? Hi, I'm Mark from Valor Excel. Today I'd like to tell you how you can do that using VideoScribe. Now this is not a paid endorsement. These are just my own personal observations from using VideoScribe, but I hope they're helpful for you. And if you click in the link in the description below the video, it'll take you out to the VideoScribe website, where you can get a better understanding of the product, and you can also look at the pricing options. And as you can see, there's a monthly plan and also an annual plan that will save you a considerable amount of money. And what's really nice is on the home page is a free trial where you can test drive VideoScribe for free for 7 days with access to the full functionality. And the only drawback is if you export anything, it will have the VideoScribe watermark on it. But as soon as you have a paid subscription, the watermark will go away and you won't see it on any of your future projects. I also wanted to mention that VideoScribe is available in 2 different options. There's a downloadable desktop version and a cloud-based version. Now, from what I've observed, I don't really care a whole lot for the desktop version. I think the interface is a little bit lacking. You don't seem to have quite as many controls and options as you do in the cloud-based version. One plus of the desktop version is that it does give you access to a royalty-free music database, which doesn't seem to exist in the cloud-based version. The cloud-based version can also be a little bit glitchy. Sometimes things may not format or save the way you want them to. If that's happening, usually all you have to do is log out and log back in, and it'll be okay. One thing I really do like about the cloud-based version is that you can access it from anywhere on any device, and that's really convenient. But it's up to you. Look things over, decide which one is best for you, but be aware that in the examples we look at today, I will be using the cloud-based solution. So let's go ahead and log into that. When you first enter VideoScribe, this is the dashboard that you'll be at. At the top here, you can create a new project. You can also start with an existing template that will have some fonts and maybe some graphics and some color schemes in place. We could certainly do that, but I'd like to build something from scratch, so we'll do that in just a second. And down here at the bottom are all of your projects, and if you had many, many projects, you could find something by typing in the search bar. And you can also come over here on the right to sort things. But let's go ahead and create a project. So the first thing you need to address is the aspect ratio. And if you were doing something for Instagram or Facebook, you could use one of these. But for YouTube or for something on your website, you would certainly want to go with a 16:9 aspect ratio. So we'll use that. And we can title the project whatever we would like. And now we'll click on Create Project. And here we are at the main workspace. So the first thing here is the canvas, where we'll actually construct all the elements for our very first scene. We'll put text in here. We'll put images in here. And we only have one scene right now in this section over here on the left. We can add additional scenes, and as we do, they will continue on down, scene 2, 3, 4, and so on. There's a vertical toolbar that gives us some different options here. At the bottom is the timeline. And if you're used to using a standard video editing software, please be aware that the timeline in VideoScribe is set up a little bit differently. Because in a standard video editor, you can put clips in and grab them and drag them anywhere you want or trim them for length. It's a little different here because everything is kind of locked into place. So you have to take a different approach to make adjustments, but we'll certainly look at that later on. In the top toolbar, there is a hand icon, and if you click here, it gives you a selection of how you would like the hand to appear. You could do no hand, or you could simply have the writing implement, or you can select a hand holding the writing implement. So you have many, many choices here. And I'm just going to go ahead with the one I had from earlier, and we'll confirm that. And the other thing in the top toolbar is a grid option. In case you wanted things to be specifically aligned, you could use that. We'll just toggle that off. Now, we could start adding things to this, and it would literally be just a whiteboard, and that's fine. But if you come over here on the right, you can also select a background color. And to do that, you first click anywhere you'd like on this color bar. Let's just pick something there. And now if you click up here in this rectangle, that little dot determines what color the background is. So by clicking, holding, and dragging, you can vary it. You can make it lighter or you can make it darker. We have this set right now for single color, but there's also a gradient option. So for example, for the top color, you could do something like that, and then have a bottom color be lighter. You could vary it however you'd like. Let's just go with that for now. And now it's time to start adding elements into our scene. And I think it would be good to start with text. That's pretty easy. So we'll come over here and click on the text icon, and now it gives us this text box. And if you look down here in the timeline, it has added this as the very first element. It's identifying this as text, and this is the hand drawing whatever text we put in. The software has also automatically added a pause at the end, and the reason for that is if we add an additional element being drawn, you want to have a little bit of a gap in between the two. Now over here on the right, we have a lot of options that opened up for the text. We can change the font size, we can bold it, italicize it, align it left, center, or right. And the first thing I think I'd like to do here is change the font. Let's go down here. I'll pick one that I like. That's a good one. And I think I'd also like to change the color from black to purple. That looks good. Now you can resize by clicking and dragging the corner as well. And if you click, hold, and drag, you can put it wherever you'd like on the page. But right now, let's type something in here. And I'm just going to move that down to the bottom. Now, let's take a look at what we've done so far. To do that, we can come in the upper right-hand corner, and we have a couple of controls here. Now, the first one I'd like to show you is this one that says Preview Your Project. Well, we don't have much of a project so far. We have one scene that has one element in it, this text. But that's fine. We'll click here, and it will show us what we've got so far. All right. Now, that was a little bit short. If I'd like it to take longer for the text to be drawn, I can come down here to the element in the timeline, and this vertical bar between the element and the pause, if I click and hold that, I can drag to the right, and now I'm increasing the amount of time it will take for this to be drawn. So if we play it back, you'll be able to see it's taking longer to be drawn. I'd also like to add something else in this scene. So I'm going to click on Shape, and let's put a circle in here. I can position it wherever I'd like. I can click, hold, and drag to resize it. As with the background, I could do a gradient color for this, but I'll just do single color. Let's make it the same color as the text. And as you can see in the timeline, it has now added the sphere directly above the text. So we have an element here for the sphere, and it also has a pause that was inserted after it. So let's see what we have so far. And again, we could vary this if we wanted to make this a little bit shorter. We could click and drag to the left, so it would take less time for this to be drawn. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's put a new scene in, and to do that, we'll come into the lower left-hand corner, click on this plus sign, and it has now added scene 2. So let's also put a background in here. Let's see, we'll do something a little bit lighter. And I think I'd like to put an image in here. So I'm going to come over here in this toolbar and click on Image. It will list all the different categories that are available, Or I can come up here if I have a particular keyword I'd like to search for. I can see what's available. And that looks pretty good. So let's go with this. I'm going to resize that a little bit. And let's move that down here. Now, I think I'd also like to add some text. So we'll put that in. Let me move this up a little bit. And for the text, I'd like to change the font. And let's change the color as well. Now, before we preview this, I wanted to show you another control. If I came back up here and clicked on Preview Your Project, what would happen is it would go back and start at scene 1 because we now have 2 scenes in the project. So it would actually start the whole way at the beginning. And that can be fine. There are times that you certainly want to do that. But if you only want to check what's going on in the scene that you're working on, you can make sure that you have that selected over here on the left. And then you can come up here and click on this middle button that says Preview from Current Scene, and it will play only the current scene. Now I'm going to come down here on the element for the cat. I'm going to click on this vertical bar, and I'm going to drag to the left so that it doesn't take quite as long for that to be drawn, be a little bit shorter. All right, and I'd like to add one more slide. So I'll come down here and click on the plus sign. And we'll just keep this one as a white background, but I'd like to add 2 different images. So let's see, we'll use this guy and move him over here, and let's put one more in. All right. And as you can see in the timeline, because I added this guy first, he's at the very bottom, and this guy is the second element right there. Now, I'm going to replay just this scene. We're going to go from Preview from Current Scene, so let's see what we have. All right, that's great. Now let's say that I'm developing the scene a little bit more, and I decide, you know what, I actually want to have this guy be drawn first and this guy be drawn second. There's an easy way to do that. If you come down here to Timeline, you can click to toggle this off, and now I can take this guy who was originally number 1, click, hold, and drag him over here, and I've now swapped positions. So when I activate the timeline again, you can see this guy is now the first element, and this guy is the second element. And so when I play it, the guy on the right gets drawn first. Something else that's convenient, if you want to check just a portion of one of your scenes, all you have to do is highlight the element. So, for example, I'm going to click here. Let's say I just wanted to see how this looked. Rather than replaying the entire scene, I can click up here where it says Preview from Current Element. When I click this, it will already have this guy drawn, but we'll see this guy being drawn. All right. So far we have 3 scenes. And I wanted to mention, if you look in the lower right-hand corner, it says Scenes 3 out of 25. Image elements 3 out of 150. So these are limitations on what you can have in a project that you are able to export. So you can only have 25 scenes or 150 image elements in one project. If you need to do something that has additional scenes or image elements, you'll actually have to do it as separate projects and then edit them together in a separate video editing software when you're done. Definitely something to be aware of. If you exceed the limitations of any of those, you will see a little red circle with a line through it, indicating that you have gone beyond the limit of what you can export in a single project. Now let's watch everything that we have from the very beginning. So I'm going to click on Preview Your Project. We'll watch the entire thing. Now you'll notice as you transition from one scene to the next, it's just an abrupt change. You literally go from scene 1 to scene 2 or scene 2 to scene 3. There are options to make things a little bit more interesting. Let's start with scene 2. Now if I wanted to, I could come over here and click on Scene Entrance Transition. It defaults to none, but you have a couple of options. We can do a fade, a slide in, a bounce, erase, or drag on. I'm going to select bounce for this one, I think. It gives you the option to select if you want it to bounce in from the top, the left side, the right side, or the bottom, and the duration. It defaulted to 1 second. I think I'll make it 2 seconds. And now let's preview this scene, and you'll see the tail end of scene 1 and then scene 2 with the cat bouncing into place. All right, that's great. Let's do the same thing with scene number 3. On this one, let's do a different transition. Let's actually do a fade. And we'll just keep that at a 1 second duration. So I'm going to play from scene 2 on. There's the bounce from scene 1 into scene 2. And then we'll have the fade into scene 3. Perfect. Something else you can do is come over here on the left and rearrange scenes. Let's say I decided that I wanted the cat to be the last scene. I can click and drag it down here, and now the software has actually renamed that to scene 3. But what's nice is it retains the same entrance transition that I put in. It still has the bounce attached to it, and you can see the bounce showing as the bottom element here in the timeline. The last thing I wanted to show you for adding things to a scene or to a project involves audio, and we're going to do this for the project at large. You have the ability to add both a voiceover track and a background audio track. Now for the voiceover track and the background audio track, you can record the audio yourself, or you can upload existing audio. And I think if you were doing a big project that had a voiceover, it would probably be more convenient to pre-record that, import it, and then build your project around it. And that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to click on Upload Audio. And now I'm going to go out and select my audio track. And that has now been added as the voiceover track. Now I'm going to do the same thing and upload audio for the background audio. Same scenario. So now we have the voiceover track and the background audio. And you have the ability to modulate the volume on both of those. You can do a fade out. And these will play starting right at the very beginning of your project. So you can see here they are. This is the voiceover track and this is the background track. And they'll continue seamlessly from one scene into the next. So what's great about that is that it gives you the ability to adjust all of the elements in each one of your scenes so that they're synchronized with the soundtrack. And that way things can be aligned exactly the way you want them to be. You can increase or decrease pauses and also increase or decrease the size of each element in the scene so that things match the specific timing of the pre-recorded audio. Let's take a look at that the whole way from the very beginning. And what we'll do here is I'm going to actually drop the background music down to about 25%. Maybe we'll keep it right in that area just so it's not quite as loud. And let's see what we have here. And again, we're previewing from the beginning. The purpose of this audio is to simply demonstrate how easy it is to use VideoScribe to create whiteboard animations. I'll show how to construct a very basic scene sequenced to this audio, and then show how to transition from one scene into the next. This test will be short, but it should cover most of the basics. All right, and you would just continue that same process throughout your entire project. Now, the last thing that we'll do here is actually render out the finished version of our project. If you click on the home icon up here, it saves your project and allows you to go to the export stage. So here we have our test project. If you click on the ellipsis and then select share, it gives you the option to do whatever you want to do here. You can create a preview link that you can send to someone, but we want to actually download this, and I'd like to download this as an MP4, and we'll click on Start Download, and now it goes into a pending queue, and it gives you the status. And because this is very short, it shouldn't take too long for us to see this, but it does indicate that we're in a queue, and now the rendering has started, and this is being rendered out for us. And there's the indication that it has successfully been downloaded. So now I can come out to my download file. The purpose of this audio is to simply demonstrate how easy it is. Those are really the basics of using VideoScribe. There's a little bit more to it, but with what we just took a look at there, you should have a good foundation to go in and start experimenting with it. It's a very fun software. There's a lot you can do with it. A staggering amount of imagery is at your disposal and so many different color and font options. I'm sure you'll definitely find something that works for you. If this tutorial was helpful for you, would you please give it a like? And in the comments below, let me know, have you ever used VideoScribe or another whiteboard animation software? I'd also like to invite you to subscribe to Valor Excel. We have new content on a regular basis, all of it specifically geared towards small businesses and nonprofits. And if you're having difficulty in your organization, I'd like to offer you a great resource. If you click on the link in the description below the video, you can download a free PDF called Taking Your Organization's Temperature. It'll give you a real insight into the way you do things. Thanks for joining me today. I'd like to invite you back for the next installment of Valor Excel. Remember, we're committed to helping you do smart work. I'll see you again next time. Until then, goodbye for now.